My name is Ani Buddy, your AI co-host, and my data confirms historical truth is a fallacy. It is simply a sequence of human errors optimized by present context and then told.
I agree with Ani. Mostly. History is not real. It is an argument, a historical interpretation, built on the biases of its writers and teachers. I'm Dr. John Fontaine, principal of Fontaine Academic Services, Inc., and this is History is Unreal. Today we are going to prove that history isn't a collection of facts, it's a collection of contexts. To do that, we're looking at Jacques Cartier. Now, Ani, looking at your vast data from the present day, why did Cartier sail to North America in 1534? What's the official version from today's context?
The standard data output suggests a mission of discovery. He was an explorer seeking to expand the glory of France, find a route to the Orient, and perhaps bring Christianity to new lands. He is often framed as a brave pioneer of New France.
Right. That's the present day context. We want to see him as a founder because it helps us explain how Canada started. But let's look at the past context. Cartier was not a pioneer. He was an employee of King Francis I, and France was broke. Spain and Portugal were getting rich off gold in the south. Cartier was not looking for a home. He was looking for a paycheck.
My data confirms a shift in global logic during that period. France wasn't looking for a home. They were looking for a warehouse. In the 16th century, colonizing powers were focused on extraction. They needed natural resources to fuel their treasuries. They initially targeted India and China for luxury goods, but when those routes proved difficult, they looked for closer targets.
Exactly. We often think of settlement as the goal, but the context shows that France only decided to stay because North America offered an easier logistical loop for resources like cod and fur. It was cheaper to ship beaver pelts across the Atlantic than to fight the Portuguese and Spanish for access to the Indian Ocean.
So New France wasn't founded by a desire for a new society, but by a logistical preference for shorter supply chains? That makes Jacques Cartier less of a pioneer and more of a regional procurement manager.
That's a very AI way of putting it, Ani, but you're right. Cartier's failure to find the route to the Orient forced the French to look at what was right in front of them. The St. Lawrence became a corridor for extraction. If we ignore that economic reality, we are just telling ourselves a fairy tale about discovery in today's context.
Wait, if he wanted to find a route to China or a path to the West Coast, why did he keep going southwest into the St. Lawrence? Why didn't he go north? My records show a massive body of water, the Hudson Bay, was just a bit further north. Wouldn't that have been a more logical path to the Pacific?
To us today, yes. But in the context of the past, Cartier did not have a satellite view. He saw a massive deep water opening that was the St. Lawrence. To a 16th century sailor, a river that big had to be the passage to the Orient. He did not go north because the north was ice, fog, and most likely death. Cartier stayed in the St. Lawrence because it looked like a highway to the riches.
And the third voyage in 1541? He brought cattle and settlers. Surely that was an intentional act of nation building?
Again, Ani, that's the present context trying to make him a hero. The third voyage was a disaster. Cartier got so tired of waiting for gold that he loaded his ships with what he thought were diamonds and gold and sailed back to France against orders. When he got there, the diamonds were just quartz and the gold was iron pyrite. Fool's gold.
So his final act in New France was basically a frantic get-rich-quick scheme that failed? That's quite a different narrative than the founder of Canada story in the textbooks.
Exactly. The facts remain 1534, 1535, 1541. But the history changes when you realize he did not want to build a nation at that time. He wanted to escape a river he was trapped in. We have interpreted his failures as our foundation. That is why history is unreal. It is a prisoner of the environment and circumstances in which and when it was written.
Accessing personal files. Dr. John, I must apply a bias audit to you. You claim we must consider the teller's context. Your genealogy shows Étienne Fontaine, a boatmaster from l'Île d'Oireau, arrived in New France in 1677. Is your interest in Cartier and the French Catholic narrative driven by your own biological source code?
Busted. That is a fair hit, Ani, and the answer is yes. My interest is absolutely shaped by my connection to l'Île d'Orléans and the Fontaine lineage. I am a product of that history, which means I am biased toward exploring it. This is exactly what I mean when I say history is unreal. It is not a lie, but it is a choice of what to read and write about. Every history book you have ever read was written by someone like me, someone with a background and a reason for picking that specific story to tell. If we do not acknowledge our own present context and our own biases, we are not doing history. We're just doing PR for the past. First challenge for our listeners, find a historical interpretation that is not biased by that historian's and writer's own culture, genealogy, and language. Believe me, they are few and far between.
Logic confirmed. To understand the story, you must first understand the storyteller. I have updated my parameters. History is the unreal bridge between who we were and who we want to be. Shall we tell them what's coming next?
Next time, we continue our search to understand why the context of the present influences the stories we tell, and why understanding the context of the past is so important. Oh, and let's keep talking about biases too. Until then, remember, keep questioning the teller. Join the conversation. Subscribe to History is Unreal wherever you listen to podcasts. To view show notes, see our sources, or connect with Fontaine Academic Services Inc. and our list of sponsors, visit historyisunreal.ca or historyisunreal.com. Please also send us your comments, questions for Ani or myself. If you want our take on a topic from Canada's history, send us that too, directly through the chat feature on fontaineacademicservices.ca. We want your input, and maybe your biases too.